Hi, I'm Dave Quist, Executive Director of the Western Canadian Wheat Growers Association. On behalf of the wheat growers, we sincerely hope that you, your family, and loved ones are healthy during the COVID-19 outbreak. On March 17, 2020, the wheat growers were poised to celebrate our 50th anniversary convention, reuniting our members and directors, creating a launchpad for our anniversary book, Warriors for Wheat, a captivating retelling of an against all odds, inspiring story about our courageous founders, the battle fought to win marketing freedom for Western Canadian grain farmers, and how the wheat growers have shaped Canadian agriculture policy and continue to do so. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, our convention plans had to be postponed to November 24th, and it forced us to rethink how to launch this great book, Warriors for Wheat. In the last weeks, we've all walked through the grocery stores, found empty spaces on shelves where the food products that contain the grains and legumes that we grow in high demand. Flour and pasta products virtually gone, proving that the world needs farmers and our organization now more than ever to advance agriculture policies that help farmers feed the world. So in true wheat grower fashion, we came together and found a solution to the protocol of social distancing so that we can launch Warriors for Wheat and share our inspiring story right before farmers hit the fields in the next month. Let's kick off our book launch with this short video where you will see historic and current footage of our founders, current and past staff and board members, recounting in their own words why there was and continues to be a need for this organization and what it means to be a wheat grower. I hope you enjoy this video as much as I do.
If you're playing a game of poker, everybody else has got all the aces and the farmers have got the twos and the fives.
We organized the wheat growers. I knew it was the right thing to do. I'm glad I did it.
Farming was a business and it needed to be run as a business.
We know what should be done and get out of our way and let us do it.
We didn't even have God on our side.
The wheat growers were always fighters for what we believed in.
The Palace of Wheat Growers had the agenda.
The wheat growers embody what is good about making change.
The amount of work that they put into this organization is impossible to measure.
It was a pretty sad state of affairs and we couldn't see how this could continue.
You can't grow something if you got no market for it.
There's no question the gaining of marketing freedom was the highlight.
I was determined bugger anyway, but I had my mind made up that we were doing the right thing and we were getting shafted otherwise.
When an issue pops up in the media, whether it is protesters blockading the railways, whether it's India shutting down our pulse market, our wheat grower membership looks to this association to find out how can we get around this? How can we approach the government? How can we put forward a proactive solution to this problem?
You're joining the wheat growers. You've already, you're a farmer that already wants to get ahead, wants to provide or wants greater prosperity for themselves and their families.
There was no other place that I could have gone to learn what I've learned.
I couldn't understand how you could get through a year without going to the annual meeting of the Western Canadian Wheat Growers. That's where I went to recharge my batteries.
The wheat growers has been my college degree.
No matter what policy issue faces farmers today or tomorrow, no one should have to guess where the wheat grower position will lie.
We weren't shy.
I see the future for the Western Canadian wheat growers being stronger than ever. The need is not less, it's substantially more. We are warriors for wheat. We have some huge wins that we can be proud of accomplishing.
It's different because we were here.
It's now my pleasure to introduce to you the committee that put together this great book. It's my pleasure to introduce Clayton Cadillac, who's the a director from Saskatchewan and the chair of the Warriors for Wheat Committee, Suzanne Pascal, who is our author and did a wonderful job for us, and Alana Cook, who is our past executive director, but also wrote the epilogue for the book as well, and we have the pleasure of editing as well. Clayton, as the chair of the book committee and the person who spearheaded the making of Warriors for Wheat, why did you feel so strongly that capturing the last 25 years in a book was the right thing to do?
Well, our organization has fought for many, many years for marketing freedom and to have less government regulation in the lives of the Western Canadian farmer. And in the past 25 years, so much of that has been achieved. The elimination of single desk selling, the movement away from central planning for car allocation, and some of the world trade agreements that have come along have really fit in well with the direction and the vision of the Western Canadian Wheat Growers Association. So it was a very important time, probably the most important time in the history of Western Canadian agriculture happened in the past 25 years. And I feel that was a story that needed to be shared.
And shared well. Suzanne, you were the lead author on this. You were not closely tied to the organization before you began researching and writing. Tell us, as the author, what you experienced as you sort of look back over 25 years. You peel back the onion skins, as it were, organizing many boxes of material, interviewing dozens of people to tell the Warriors for Wheat story.
Well, first, this is my my third business history book that's set in Western Canada. And I have to say, this one struck a particularly personal chord with me because I grew up in a family from Kansas that were hard red winter wheat farmers from the early part of the 20th century. In going through all those boxes you mentioned, and especially in doing the interviews, I was really fascinated, as I always am, to learn the backstory to all the history that we've all seen take place from the front end. Reading and watching news coverage, it never shows you the depth of what's really going on behind the scenes. And I found these stories so personal. They showed such incredible commitment of so many people over so many years. And so much of this commitment was voluntary, right? These are volunteers for the most part that were doing all of these extraordinary things.
Alana, you've been around the wheat growers for many years, former executive director, heavily involved in the ag industry, and you were lead editor and wrote the epilogue for Warriors for Wheat. Describe your experience in helping this book come together, particularly what you thought it might have been at the start and where it ended up from your perspective.
Yeah, well, thanks very much, Dave. I mean, it was a huge privilege, but also this massive responsibility that weighed on me very heavily, that we got it right, that we told the stories right, that we recognized all the people that deserve to be recognized, because there's just so many amazing people through the history of the wheat growers, certainly in our first 25 years, but definitely in the last 25 years that, I really felt needed to be held up and recognized, and also make sure that we got our story told in the right way. So, I felt that sense of responsibility. I think we've managed to do that really well in the book. So I'm really pleased with that. I think at the beginning, I thought it was going to be history, obviously, but this compilation of facts. And I think in the end, what, my view is that we exceeded all my expectations. I think we'll have exceeded many people's expectations, because it's such a great story, told so vibrantly, in such a rich way, that I think it's a reminder for all of us. Some of us will have forgotten some of the things that have happened in the past. Some of us will have forgotten how important what might have seemed as small things, really how immense it was that the wheat growers influenced that through the years and the big changes it resulted in. And, I think the impact and influence of this tenacious group of farmers, which began, 50 years ago, that's really going to come alive in the book as well. And so that end result for me ended up even better, because it is so packed with information, facts, absolutely, history, totally, but also, the fabric and the heart and soul of the wheat growers really comes alive in the book. So that's why I think people are really going to enjoy reading it.
I almost see the book as sort of being a family reunion in some senses. Family reunions are a little messy sometimes around the edges, and yet that's what makes it real for all of us as well. And I think that's what's come out in the book is there's a real quality, there's a passionate quality.
The reconnection for me with people and with those stories, kind of like, oh yeah, holy smokes, I forgot that that's how it kind of unfolded, and kind of rekindled all of those really warm memories and maybe some angry times too. Oh my God, I can't believe that's the way it went. And, we didn't get everything we wanted, or we didn't get it when we wanted to, but it's a real, reigniting of the pride.
I've got a closing question for each of you, and this might be the most difficult question. What's your favorite part of the book now that it's actually completed? Clayton?
Well, I have many favorites, but there's certainly something that sticks out for me. And it's right at the beginning on page 2, and it's the dedication. And to me, it really speaks to the spirit of the organization. And it says, this volume is dedicated to the courageous men and women of the Western Canadian Wheat Growers Association who worked tirelessly over many decades, often at great personal sacrifice, to achieve marketing freedom for prairie grain farmers. May we never forget their perseverance, their adherence to purpose, and their passion for the industry. And to me, that says everything about the Western Canadian Wheat Growers Association.
Oh, well said. You've been a big part of that, so thank you very much for your effort. Suzanne, what's your favorite part? I mean, you wrote the story, but there's probably other pieces that that didn't make the cut, so to speak.
My favorite story in the book has to be Jerry Ritz's story about how he ran the bill over to be signed by David Johnson, who was in his tracksuit working out at home. And it just really conveyed to me, as these stories always do, that history happens because of everyday people doing extraordinary things.
All real people behind the stories. It's not just the official version, but the story behind the story, if you will. Thank you. Alana, you read it all multiple times. You had your hand in editing and probably determining which parts of the stories would go forward and which parts we leave behind. What stands out for you? What's your favorite part?
Well, I guess I'm like a parent that's really finding it difficult to find the favorite child. So first of all, I would say I love the whole thing, and together is where the magic is. But if I had to think about sort of a particular part, probably chapter 14, Free at Last, has got to be the thing that really stands out for me, the favorite part of the book, because I think about, Wally Nelson and our founders, where it all began was really about the wheat board and the marketing monopoly and the impact it was having on, how we were operating our business, not just in wheat, but in the entire industry. And I think about, that achievement, getting rid of the wheat board monopoly, has to be something that so many of us are so proud of when we think about all that have gone before us and the people that were involved right through from the beginning. And the wheat growers were such a big part of that change. So that's probably my favorite part of the book. I will also say the favorite theme, though, for me in the book is the consistent optimism, the absolute persistence, commitment, and passion to making things better.
Probably the most valuable thing in the whole wheat grower sphere of history is the first 25-year book. It's still one of the most valuable things that I own. And there was no way that we were going to go another 25 years and not have a sequel.
And there are chapters still to be written. I'm hoping that the three of you will be with us for writing of the third set of books, the next 25 years as well. On behalf of the Western Canadian Wheat Growers, I just want to thank each one of you for all your work that went into this. And the deed is done. And the book is well written. It's a great read. And I know that those that read it are going to thoroughly enjoy it and walks down memory lane and reminiscing a little bit as well. So on behalf of us, thank you for each and every one of you for all your work that you put into this.
Thanks, Dave. It was
My pleasure.
Absolute honor and a pleasure.
Anyone that's been involved in the grain industry will enjoy this book. They make a great gift. You can order yours online through our website at www.wheatgrowers.ca or call us at 306-955-0356. Thanks again for tuning in and helping us celebrate 50 years of the Western Canadian Wheat Growers Association.